Good morning. Thank you for joining me in this morning mindfulness practice. I study every morning, and I invite you to set an intention to think about what is it that you would like to bring into your experience, into your reality, into your real life. Not just what you're thinking about, not just what you're wishing for, but what do you really desire? The energy that you send out is the energy that comes back to you. I was fortunate enough to have spent some time with Bob Proctor for several years before he passed away, and he studied every day for 60 years. One of the things that he loved the most was a program called Lead the Field, that was spoken by Earl Nightingale. And Bob Proctor took the Lead the Field program and went even deeper, because in the days when Earl Nightingale was speaking about the science of getting rich, and that was written by Wallace Wattles, but he talked about life where people back in the 1930s could understand it, 1950s, 1960s. Bob Proctor brought that information to light into our lives in a deeper way by explaining the spiritual side of the programs that other people would have just mocked or said was woo-woo. I'm so fortunate to be alive at this period of time to understand the spiritual, intellectual, and physical aspects of our lives. And that's what I love doing every single day, studying it, teaching it, showing others how it works. I'm going to talk about the magic word that Earl Nightingale said was the most important word as far as the results we get from life are concerned. Do you know what the most important word is? Attitude. Earl Nightingale said that attitude is defined as the position or bearing as indicating action, feeling, or mood. And it is our actions, feelings, or moods which determine the actions, feelings, or moods of the others toward us, and which control, to a surprising extent, our success or failure. Now, Bob Proctor says, here is where we have the first opportunity to add some real heat to this powerful program. Consider this. You live simultaneously on 3 planes. You are a spiritual being, you have a marvelous mind, and you live in a physical body. Think about that. I am spiritual, non-physical energy. I can tap into thought energy. I have an intellectual mind to build ideas. I live in a physical body, and that is expressed in things or results. Earl explained that attitude is our position or bearing as indicating action, feeling, or mood. Think of what he said. Attitude is action, feeling, or mood. That would indicate attitude is expressed by both your mind and your body. Bob Proctor would say, your thoughts plus your feelings plus your actions. Those are all a composite of your attitude, and depending on your attitude, that's the results that you get in your life. Now, we think in pictures or images. It's easier to allow thoughts and ideas, pictures and images to come into your mind when you're in a relaxed state of being. You know that when you're stressed, crazy ideas come into your head and you start worrying about the worst thing that can happen. But when you take the time to settle down your body, to not be always multitasking, but to just sit still and focus on your breathing until your central nervous system calms down and gets to a state of homeostasis, a natural state of being. And then you can think of beautiful pictures. Now, we think in pictures or images. We certainly have an image of our body, but we don't have a picture of our mind. Earl Nightingale said, "No one has ever seen the mind. And where there is no image, there is confusion." The image is what brings order to the mind. And that's why Solomon said, "Where there is no vision, the people will perish." Bob Proctor said, "It was after years of serious study that I stumbled upon this beautiful truth. Without an image of the mind, your understanding of attitude will very likely be distorted. However, that does not mean you will not be successful in life. You could have a great attitude and become highly successful, yet not understand exactly what attitude is and how it has affected your success in life. A person in this position is frequently referred to as an unconscious competent. When this is the case, a person's success would be non-transferable. Since their success has its foundation in their attitude, and since they do not have a clear understanding of what attitude is, they would be unable to explain their cause of success to another person, possibly even a loved one. Situations like this are not uncommon. Before we help you in forming an image of the mind, let's continue with Earl Nightingale's description of the magic word. He said, "It is then our attitude toward life which will determine life's attitude toward us." Now, what does this mean exactly? Everything operates on the law of cause and effect. Everything we say or do will cause some effect. Now we're charged with producing causes. The effects or the rewards of our actions will always take care of themselves. That's why I say success can be guaranteed and will come to us every time if we live in a certain way. Good attitude, good results. Fair attitude, fair results. Bad attitude, bad results. You know, if you decide that you can or you can't, or you think you can, you think you can't, that's what happens, isn't it? Bob Proctor teaches that there is no cause other than my own state of consciousness. What do I really want? It's up to me to decide, to shift, to practice, to go after what I want instead of settling. Earl Nightingale explained everything operates on the law of cause and effect. That was correct. However, we're going to expand upon that. Dr. Wernher von Braun, who is considered the father of space exploration, stated, "The natural laws of the universe are so precise that we have no difficulty building a spaceship that we can send to the moon, and we can time the landing with the precision of a fraction of a second." He also said, "These laws must have been set by someone. Everything in life is controlled by law. Cause and effect is just one of the laws." Studying the natural laws of the universe is something that I do. That's something that Bob Proctor taught, that will change how you look at life. You will realize that you're not just controlled by man-made laws, whether you can pay attention to the laws or not, but there are universal laws. Universal. They apply to every single person all the time. Whether you know them or not doesn't matter. Whether you are ignorant of the laws and breaking the laws accidentally, it doesn't matter. The law is the law. You want to understand that on a deeper level. Earl Nightingale recognized that everything was controlled by law. In the final lesson, he quotes Ralph Waldo Emerson, who said, "Let him learn a prudence of a higher strain. Let him learn that everything in nature, even dust and feathers, go by law and not by luck." The law has been described as the uniform and orderly method of the omnipotent God. In other words, the law is God's modus operandi. There are 7 laws. I found it amazing how well Earl included all of the laws in Lead the Field. They will heighten your level of understanding and give you greater control over your life. Earl Nightingale is suggesting that each of us shapes their own life, and the shape of it is determined by our attitude, the attitude that we hold most of the time. It sounds simple, doesn't it? But it's not quite that easy. For most of us, learning this new habit takes time, but once it's mastered, our daily lives will become as changed as if we walked out of a dark tunnel into the bright, clear light of day. A person with a poor attitude toward learning, for example, in school or afterward, isn't going to learn very much until they change their attitude. I know you can think of examples of this in your own life. If we take the attitude that we cannot do something, we generally will not do it. An attitude of failure, and we're whipped before we start. So we know then that what we receive from life, what we accomplish or fail to accomplish, is due in large measure to our overall attitude. William James of Harvard said the greatest discovery of his generation was that human beings can alter their lives by altering their attitudes of mind. Human beings can alter their lives by altering their attitudes of mind. That sounds pretty simple, doesn't it? However, it's not very easy, and it can't be, otherwise more people would do it. Why don't more people alter their attitudes of mind? The answer is obvious. They don't know how. William James was right. A change in attitude will change your life. However, teachers tell that to students. Doctors tell it to patients. Sales managers tell it to salespeople. And counselors tell couples who are having trouble, just a change in attitude is all you require. The person in question will agree, and they will desperately want the good that is promised them. What is the problem? Attitude is a mind-body thing, and we are given no image of the mind. What I'm going to share with you now, Bob Proctor found after 9 years of searching, it had been the single most valuable concept that he ever learned. And he brings it all together like the pieces of a puzzle. It is an image of the mind. It was originated by Dr. Thurman Fleet circa 1934 in an attempt to show patients how they could heal their body by controlling the activities of the mind. Mind is movement. So Dr. Thurman Fleet drew a large circle with a line across the center. And he said, this represents your mind. The top half of the circle is your conscious mind. The bottom half of the large circle is the subconscious mind. And underneath that large circle, you could draw a smaller circle with a couple of sticks sticking out, facing up and down, a little stick person. So the bottom circle represents the body. But mind is movement. And as such, it is in every cell of your body. However, you must have an image to have order. So let's use your head to represent your mind. The conscious mind is the part of you that thinks. Visualize the top half of your head as your conscious mind. Your free will lies in this part of your mind. You can accept or reject any idea. No person or circumstance can cause you to think about thoughts or ideas that you do not choose. This is important because the thoughts you choose will eventually determine your results in life. As you accept a thought, it is impressed upon your subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is the conditioned mind, and it functions in every cell of your body. However, for our image, the bottom half of your head will represent your subconscious mind. Every thought or word your conscious mind chooses to accept, your subconscious must accept. It has no ability to reject. This part of you operates in an orderly manner by law. It expresses itself through you in feelings and actions. Any thought you continuously impress upon your subconscious mind over and over becomes fixed in this part of your personality. Fixed ideas will then continue to express themselves without any conscious assistance until they are replaced. Fixed ideas are more commonly referred to as habits. And then we come to the body. The body is simply an instrument of the mind. It is the most visible part of you. The body is the physical presentation of you, the material medium. It is merely the instrument of the mind or the house you live in. The thoughts or images that are consciously chosen and impressed upon the subconscious must move your body into action. The actions in which you are involved determine your results. So number one, you have thoughts. Number two, they are you can feel them, your feelings, your mood. And then number three is actions, which produce results. That's why people say to change results, change thoughts. That sounds easy, doesn't it? But it's not just changing your thoughts, it's changing your thoughts, feelings, and actions. To develop a good attitude to the world in general, each of us must first develop a good attitude toward ourselves. We cannot give to others something we don't have, so it's the attitude we take toward ourselves which determines our attitude toward others, which radiates to the world around us. When you see someone with a poor attitude toward others, you can be sure they have a poor attitude toward themselves. They don't like themselves. They're unhappy about something. A happy person reflects their happiness in their attitude. A person with a poor attitude most of the time is unhappy and frustrated most of the time, and they are a human magnet for unpleasant experiences. Do you know that we get what we look for? We get what we expect. When a person has a bad attitude and they're a human magnet for more unpleasant experiences, and when they come, as they must because of their attitude, that simply reinforces their poor attitude and thereby brings more problems. That person with the poor attitude becomes a self-generating, doom-fulfilling cycle. But for the person with a good attitude, the same principle holds true in reverse. Elevate your thoughts. Fall in love with an image of what you desire. Expect the best. You have unlimited potential. Expecting the best, that's what we get most of the time. Now, why would a person persist in a poor attitude, expecting the worst? Well, we're so familiar with ourselves that we tend to take ourselves for granted. We tend to minimize what we can accomplish, the goals that we can reach, and for some equally strange reason, we believe others can reach heights which we cannot. We tend to overlook the fact that there is enormous, undeveloped, unlimited potential within each of us. A great reserve of talent and ability, which we habitually fail to use. There are millions of human beings living narrow, darkened, frustrated lives, living defensively simply because they take a defensive, doubtful attitude toward themselves, and as a result, toward life in general. Attitude is a reflection of the person. What's going on the inside shows on the outside. Attitude begins in the conscious mind and is impressed upon the subconscious mind. One's attitude is incalculably powerful. It can bring about marvelous results for us, but we must train it patiently, day by day. That's why I study every day. I visualize seeing myself with the good that I desire. And as I do that with feeling, I turn the idea over to my conscious mind. So repetition, daily feeding the subconscious mind, it must move into form. It has no ability to reject. The subconscious mind does not know what is real or imagined. Now think for a moment about successful people who go sailing through life from one success to another, and who, when they occasionally fail at something, they shrug it off and head right out again. No matter what a person does, whenever you find a person doing an outstanding job and getting outstanding results, you'll find a person with a good attitude. These people take the attitude toward themselves that they can accomplish what they set out to accomplish, that achievement is the natural order of things, that there's no good reason on earth why they can't be competent, successful. They have a healthy attitude toward themselves, and as a natural result, toward life and the things they want to accomplish. Imagine what you desire. What are you going to do with the energy that is flowing to and through you? Attitude is the composite of your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. And it shows up in the results you get in life. Good or bad, it starts with your attitude. Universal energy is always flowing. It flows in to your mind, and you can choose your thoughts, and you can choose ideas. You can focus on them and practice getting emotionally involved with the good. Your thoughts cause your feelings, that emotional part of your mind, which in turn controls the vibratory rate of your body. And whatever vibrational energy you're in, that controls your actions. And whatever you put out returns to you. Action, reaction. That's a law of the universe. What you put out comes back to you. Check your attitude. Create a wonderful day that starts in your conscious mind. Decide that you're having a wonderful day. Get emotionally involved in how that feels and put it out through your actions, and watch how your life starts to turn around. Create a wonderful day. Thank you for joining me in this morning mindfulness practice. For my clients, I'll see you back here at 9 o'clock to talk more about the magic word, attitude. And of course, I'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 7 for another morning mindfulness. Thank you. Have a great day.